I just want to talk to you about your journey. I think on the media side for me, um, I feel like the world and our world has changed so much in such a short amount of time.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I wonder just like how you feel, as the keeper of the vision, with the degrees of success that you've experienced,
Yeah.
um, the way the marketplace has changed, COVID, all of these things. Like, what are the biggest differences with where you are now than when you got going?
Yeah, I was trying to think before we got on this of like what has been the journey, and I think we can bookmark it with our conversations. So I think there was the conversation for the Point of Origin podcast that you and I had, one of the early interviews I
Mhm.
ever did. And it was really setting the stage for like, what is diaspora going to be? What is Whetstone growing into? Then, mid pandemic, you and I talked at a MOAD talk. And it was for me that talk, and what I took away from it was how the world at that point, it felt like, was finally listening to us. And we were like, yeah, you're finally giving us an audience. Okay. And I think maybe especially for you as a Black man. But of course, we were
Right.
misled.
Yes.
And I feel like for me now, you and I are almost in 2023, and I don't want to speak for you, but it's like this sobering year of we were made the tokens. And I think, again, you in a much more public way than me. Um, but still, like we were made the tokens. We were like, oh, celebrity is what it takes to like do this thing and like make our dreams come true. Okay, like let's go be celebrities. But then largely realize that that doesn't set you up to actually do the work. Like that just
Yeah.
sets you up to be a pawn of a system that has existed for a long time. Um, and now we're thinking through, how do we focus on the work? How do we not get distracted? Um, and what does our leadership look like when we're trying to create these inclusive, in a way, anti-capitalist companies that are using all the same tools though as capitalism? That's like my arc of where we are and where we've come. Would you agree? Is that
I'm just fascinated to hear you talk about it, because as is often the case, I feel there are so few people that I can really relate to on the journey, who really like know me, who saw me come up, and who also have been made to whatever degree public, um, as a means of furthering the things we believe in, including our own businesses. Um, it's funny to think about, you know, having to have a public presence,
Mhm.
in order to both get the work done and also check a box for the people who are just going to sprinkle a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there?
Yeah.
Because I feel the ways that it has, I guess, I feel the differences in our situation are that, like, I got thrust into this really public place as a means of talking about the same stuff I've been talking about. And that seemed like that's the cost of doing business. And then when the show came out, I was like, I'm actually kind of stressed that there's so many people here. Like, it just, I wasn't ready for it, actually. It was just jarring.
Yeah.
And I've always felt, and this could be actually just like our age difference, you're more native with um, being online in a way of connecting, like being visible to
Mhm.
getting the work done. Um, and I always kind of like marvel at how you have been able to share so much of your life and
Mhm.
also get the work done and not kind of like lose the plot. Because for me, I'm not naturally inclined to like want to share
Share.
necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, how does that sit with
What
you?
No, you're right. And I mean, I think, I made an Instagram when I was 17 years old and had first come to the US. I'm now
Yeah.
29. I've been on Instagram for 12 years of my life. So I was basically raised on that app. I
Yeah.
made friends on there. I learned how to write on there. I literally graduated college on there. So, like, yeah, was the early round of millennials who grew up on there. And I think for me, it's always personally, I think diaspora aside, the point of being public on the internet has been feeling like the internet made me feel less alone. I felt like as a queer brown immigrant in the US with a unique experience with some privileges and some not, um, there wasn't place. And somehow, like, this corner of Instagram gave me place. Um, and I think at 29, I'm now having to sit with how much do I want to share? How much do I not? How much of my identity relates to the internet versus not? Um, who am I outside of that? And those are not questions I really have the answer to. Like, because, a side effect of that is my default, even when I'm alone, is that I'm performing. Instagram is performance 24/7, to the point
Yeah.
where I often don't know what not performing means. Um, my therapist doesn't know either. Um, so I think, that's the personal piece of it. But I think when it comes to how I show up publicly for the company, I think that's been hard. It's been easy. It's been easy to get distracted, and it's been easy to say, "Oh, I should do like a paid influencer post because those pay really well, and I should like post about my outfits because my outfits are so cute." And then having to maintain. Thank you, but then I have to like maintain focus on what is the work. Like, what did we set out Diaspora to do? The large goal is obviously disrupt the spice trade and make it more equitable, more delicious, more rooted in culture. But the tangible goal is, how do we get our farmers paid? Very simple. And so if every single way that we're not showing up on the internet doesn't like directly relate to getting our farmers paid, I'm losing focus and I'm not actually doing my job. And I think it's actually taken the past couple of years of getting people around me who can hold me accountable and say, actually, that cute thing that
Yeah.
you're going to LA to do, that's a waste of our time. No, thank you,
Yeah.
Sana. Um, and that was hard, right? Because as founders and as like these like creative visionary types, you hate being told what you should and shouldn't do. That's why I started this. I hate being told what to do.
Yeah.
But now what I need is accountability and focus. So yeah, there's like on one hand trying to define who I am as an individual human who feels very deeply and who grew up on the internet, and then how to reconcile that with needing my and the company's social presence, get farmers paid.